Right. Now, I've come a long way for this event, but I'm really aware that what stands between you and your degree is me. So I'm going to be very brief. But before I start, can I thank Rafiq, the CEO of the campus, Dr. Haji, Chair of the Board, and the Dean of the campus for their very, very kind words about the university and about myself, particularly being awarded a CBE, which I will pick up from the Queen in 3 months today. So thank you all. Now, as I said, I'm always reminded of not speaking for too long. And the great wartime leader, Winston Churchill, when asked, "Mr. Churchill, what is your favourite opera?" And he said, "Well, it's La Bohème." And they said, "But why, Mr. Churchill?" And he replied, "Because it's the shortest." So I shall make my speech as short and as sweet as I possibly can. Now, first of all, this is my first visit to Ras Al Khaimah for 3 years, and it has changed quite significantly. There are more businesses, there are more universities, there are more schools, there are better roads, there are lots of new thoughts laying ahead, a new airport perhaps, lots of land being developed, and lots of education going on. And all that's been achieved in 3 years. So, given that the new plan for the United Arab Emirates is a 50-year plan, thinking ahead, just think what may happen in 50 years if all that has happened in 3. Who knows what the possibilities are? Anyway, first of all, the giant leaps forward planned for the Emirates are big education expansion, new science and technology, aerospace, engineering courses, health sciences, and the most interesting of all, the development of new entrepreneurship skills and thoughts. And I hope the university will be able to help on that front. So how might the university help you and this emirate and everyone else achieve the ambitions laid out in this new plan? Well, first of all, as has been mentioned, the campus will now start 3 new courses in September: airline and airport logistics and management, psychology and computer science. We also have planned other courses, biomedical science possibly, and new courses across the health sector. But to do all that, as Dr. Haji said, we will need some kind of campus. And I think that is the most important thing and the most important decision the board and the chief executive will have to make. Once we achieve that, I think the sky is the limit. Now, of crucial importance will be the role of the university in that growth period. And what have we achieved this year? Much has been mentioned already, so I won't repeat it. First of all, the university is now ranked in the top 50 universities in the UK. Now that is a significant achievement. Well, you might say 50, 51, 52, but in the British sector, we have some of the best, if not the best, universities in the world. And in London, where we sit, we have at least 3 of the greatest universities within 2 miles of the University of West London. So to achieve that is quite significant. We are easily now the best modern university in London and roughly the 8th best in London. And there are 46 big public institutions in the capital. We're also in the top 10 modern universities in the whole of the UK. And our student satisfaction, which was mentioned earlier, is now the 12th best in the country and easily the best in London. So I think all that needs a round of applause, even a long way away And as has been mentioned, and of particular importance, is the fact that we won the Business School of the Year award this year in London, and also the best financial performance of any university in the UK as well. So, what else have we done? Just a few highlights, just to add some colour to what's happening. First of all, we are now one of the major trainers or educators of pilots in the UK. We train pilots regularly 3 times a year. We have a Boeing 737 simulator where they train before they go into the air. And believe me, even flying a simulator is very, very difficult. I've tried, and I landed the simulator in Heathrow, and I crashed it twice. So it's not easy flying large planes. Luckily, it was just a simulator. Also, we've opened a trading floor where our economic students and our business students can practice share pricing and share buying and share selling. We've also opened a hospital ward with fully computerized patients. And the patients we have are computerized with 3,500 illnesses. And that allows nurses, paramedics, and others to practice their skills in a safe environment. We also have something called a Simbulance, which is a real live ambulance. So paramedics can train for emergency services. And we also have something really unusual, which is a simulator that can get as close as possible, if you ever can, to replicating what it's like to suffer one of the most awful illnesses that many, many older people will suffer from, which is dementia. And it is really, really difficult to understand what that's like. But that helps us train carers and others to look after those people who suffer from that dreadful, dreadful illness. That's just a few of the thoughts and ideas that the university is doing. We've also, as I've said, opened a hospital ward where we can simulate giving birth. We can't, but we can get the what we call the robots to simulate that. And we've opened a number of research centres this year as well. We're one of the leading centres for hospital-based infections, which is a terrible, terrible thing in hospitals, but we are trying to combat it. We have a research centre that looks at human trafficking, a terrible, terrible scourge on our countries. We have a research centre on artificial intelligence and machine learning. And one of our researchers, for instance, has managed to develop diagnostic techniques that can literally catch a cough. Now think of that. When you cough, they can catch the droplets in the air, and from that, they can work out what the diagnosis is for cancer of the throat, cancer of the tongue, cancer of the esophagus, and cancer of the lungs. It's incredible the way in which health and biomedical sciences are moving forward. We also have a research centre on film and music. And last year we were fortunate enough that one of our students won an Oscar. Well, that's a great achievement. It's a wonderful film. You can see it on Netflix if you can get access. It's called The Silent Child, and it really, really is one of the best films that you will see of the last 2 years. And on top of that, we also have, of course, a research centre in airline and airport, because we are right next door to the biggest airport in Europe, Heathrow. All that, of course, costs a lot of money, and we've invested £220 million in the university to try and bring it up to those standards. And we've just opened a brand new sports centre, a brand new sports complex, and a new international and postgraduate centre, as well as all the things I've mentioned. So, before I finish, despite all that, the most important thing are the students and the staff. So I think I'd invite everyone in the room to to give a huge round of applause before they come on the stage, the students who are graduating today, because it's their day, not mine or anyone else's. And a huge round of applause as well to the staff of the university, the academic staff who brought you to where you are today. Can you give them and spot them in the room and give them a big round of applause? So, that's about it from me. I just have to say before I go, I shan't leave it 3 years before I return. Maybe I'll come back next year and spot some of you and see how well you've achieved. And just before I go, can I wish you all good health, much, much happiness, and most of all the luck you can find. Because believe me, these days, you need it. So good luck, and I'll see you on the stage.